them like this. I wanna load it up, cock back, don't miss. Y'all ain't gonna believe this. Got the preacher wife talking about rock that. If it ain't live, it ain't me. Oh, nigga, too deaf to lose, too shy to slip a slide. I'm too hard to fall apart. I'm too cold to get old. I'm too hip to trip. I do it to them like this. I wanna load it up, cock back, don't miss. Y'all ain't gonna believe this. Got the preacher wife talking about rock that. If it ain't live, it ain't me. Oh, nigga, too deaf to lose, too shy to slip a slide. I'm too hard to fall apart. I'm too cold to get old. I'm too hip to trip. I do it to them like this. I wanna load it up, cock back, don't miss. Y'all ain't gonna believe this. Got the preacher wife talking about.
All right, folks, welcome to the show. This is HMW Sports Talk Live. I am Craig Shelton. I'm the host of this show. I am also the founder of HoustonMediaWatch.com. I encourage you folks to go and check out the blog, HoustonMediaWatch.com. That's at www.HoustonMediaWatch.com. Y'all know what weekend this is. Let me hear you say, Master. Say it. All you folks at home, black, white, Hispanic, and otherwise, let me hear you say, Master. Have you hugged your master today? Last I checked, there's a man named Bubba running around the golf course at Augusta swinging his wood. And I think he's about 6 under. Master! All right, that's our Masters coverage right here on HMW. How about that, huh? Little Masters coverage for Master! I had to get out my sister, Richard Walker. You know I did. Bubba swinging his wood in Augusta, Georgia. Angelo Lawford from HMW joins us in the studio. Folks, we have a lot to talk about on the show today. We're going to talk about smart quarterbacks. We're going to talk about dumb quarterbacks. We are going to talk about the Cowboys, maybe not. We're going to talk about the Rockets and their magnificent week, maybe not. We're going to talk about the Astros win streak. Hell no. But most of all, we're going to talk a whole lot about Master and Bubba running around Augusta, swinging his wood. Angelo, how's it going, man?
Oh, it's going all right.
How about that? Cool intro, bro?
Yeah.
Yeah, I worked on that, man. I worked on that.
I can tell.
Yeah, I called up Nick Wright and asked Nick Wright for a little help on that. You know what I mean? 'Cause Nick Wright know all about Bubba. You know what I'm saying? No doubt about it. Look, we heard from the NFL this week, folks. The NFL has spoke. And we care about was the Texans, obviously, but we did get that preseason schedule, something that everyone has been waiting on. Everywhere I go, when I see people on the street, the first thing they want to ask me is, Richard Walker really a Cowboy and a Laker fan? But then right after that, they always ask me, Craig, what is the Texans preseason schedule? And I always tell them, who gives a master? Who cares what the Texans preseason schedule is? All we give a damn about is what the Texans are going to do when the games start counting. We don't care about the Texans preseason, but I'll tell you anyway what's going on with the Texans in preseason. They get Arizona. They get Atlanta, they get Denver, they get San Francisco. So I'll go out on a limb with my vast level of expertise, Angelo Lawford, because I am a Texans preseason guru. Okay, move over, Adam Clanton. The real guru is here. I'm a Texans preseason guru, and I'm here to tell everybody that by week 3 of the preseason, when the starters typically play 3 quarters, give or take, the quote-unquote standing on the roof, the total exit of the euphoria from maybe weeks 1 and 2 of the preseason when everybody just hyped because we got some type of Texans football going.
Right.
Week 3, when they're in Denver, and all our cornerbacks can say and talk about at the end of the game is how wonderful the Broncos receivers' cleats look like from the back. And the back of the Denver Broncos jerseys look awesome as they chase them up and down the field. I'm sure Texan fans will be predicting that the season is over. Bill O'Brien should be fired, and Bob McNair should trade places with Les Alexander or something to that effect. Who cares, man? I don't care until the game started to matter. But what did matter this week, and I guess we'll take a little 2-guy poll right here on the show. The Wonderlic scores from the Combine, and there's been much talk about this week. We got to give you guys our take about it here on this show. Johnny Manziel, and let's be correct in reporting this. Johnny Manziel didn't necessarily have the highest Wonderlic score of the quarterbacks expected or that have made themselves eligible for this year's draft. The highest Wonderlic score came from the kid from Harvard.
Right.
No one knows this kid's name. It's not even sure that he has a name because he plays quarterback for Harvard, so it doesn't matter. It would only matter less if he played quarterback for Princeton, my sister's alma mater. But I'll say this. Johnny Manziel did have the highest of the notable name guys coming out and of all the other quarterbacks. And how much does that matter? If you're Bill O'Brien and the Texans, and let's just say, because we don't know, we're all speculating, but if say the Texans were leaning toward Jadeveon Clowney,
Right.
but they were impressed with Manziel at his pro day. They've been impressed with what they saw on film from his college days. And whatever flaws Bill O'Brien has seen, he believes that those are workable, things that he could coach him up on. Would the Wonderlic score, even after you've already had an interview with the guy, he's scheduled also to come in for a visit, would or should the Wonderlic score make that much of a difference? Which 32, I believe, was the score, which is considered to be in the upper tier. 50 is a perfect score. There's only been one other guy that had a 50, a punter for Cincinnati. I forget his name because he's a punter, and it doesn't matter if he's smart or dumb, as long as he can kick. But should it matter, and does it matter?
Should it matter as an isolated component to the drafting process? I don't think it should be the tipping point per se. But I mean, I think you do have to hold it in conjunction with all the rest of the information that you have.
Yeah. Especially
if the actual, maybe as a fan on the outside looking in, kind of with what we hear about Johnny Manziel not being necessarily totally dialed in 100% all the time, depending if a result like that is kind of or somewhat shocking, then maybe it tips you in the other way. Well, it's not like we expected.
But for you, because maybe I didn't phrase the question correctly, but for you, does it simply matter on that level? And if it does, is it because it is a quarterback? Because the folks I've heard say, well, it matters. I heard Ted Johnson say on CBS Radio that mattered to him when he heard that. And Ted played a lot of football in his life, 3 rings. He said that mattered to him. And me, here's where I am with it. I don't know that it matters to me or not. Dan Marino, great NFL quarterback, some consider as one of the best ever.
Right, didn't have a high one.
Low Wonderlic score.
I think he had a 15.
Ryan Fitzpatrick, the Texans quarterback, high Wonderlic score, has been a average to below average at times, slightly above average quarterback at times. So I don't know that it matters to me. Because a Wonderlic score doesn't tell you if a guy gets back in the pocket and the pocket isn't clean and he has escaped the pocket. First of all, it doesn't tell you his escapability.
No.
How good he's at escaping the pocket, and and does it tell me that because he had a high IQ, every time he escapes the pocket, he's immediately gonna stop looking downfield and just run upfield? It doesn't tell us that. You know what I mean? Because football instincts are a different deal.
Are different, but Bill O'Brien has specifically come out and said that he
wants a smart guy.
He needs a smart guy, and that's
I'm glad you went there. That's what I want.
And that's an indicator of a smart guy, and maybe even smarter than we expected, per se.
But maybe not, because how good was Texas A&M's offensive line the 2 years Johnny Manziel was there?
Right. True. They weren't very good.
No, they were excellent. They've got top of the first round draft picks.
Right.
Off the offensive line the last couple of years.
Right.
No, they were excellent.
Right.
But yet he was always outside the pocket.
Right.
You never watched A&M games and said, wow, that A&M offensive line is getting it handed to them today.
Right.
They're getting outmanned. They're getting out physical.
That's true.
No, they had a great offensive line.
But still, he was
always out the pocket.
Right.
So I think we know he has a zest for the daring, and he's a demonstrative type player. He likes to really, like he said on the John Gruden deal, Johnny Manziel's most famous play really was a bad football play for a quarterback. Gruden told him, what do you think Peyton Manning was thinking on that play? Johnny says, just throw the ball. Yeah, throw the ball.
Right.
Throw the ball. Your hot guy was wide open, and at the end of the interview, Johnny says, yeah, that's the right thing to do, but that's no fun.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So I don't know that it matters on that level. Just in case you folks are not overly familiar with the details around this particular story, Blake Bortles, the guys obviously considered to be the top 3 guys, Manziel, Bortles, and Teddy Bridgewater. Blake Bortles reportedly with a 28 on the Wonder League test, and Teddy Bridgewater with a 20 on the Wonder League test. Now, the Wonder League test is a 50, did I say twist? I meant to say test. But twist is cool. You can twerk it with Miley Cyrus, or you can twist it with Beyonce. Do your thing. The Wonder League is 50 questions that measure cognitive ability, and it's 12 minutes. 20 is considered an average score, which is equivalent to 100 IQ. And Pat McInerney, Bengals punter, former Bengals punter, was the guy who scored a perfect 50. Was reported to be the only guy we know that ever scored a perfect 50 on the Wonder League. So we'll move on for that, but we definitely want to touch on that a little bit in that regard. I'll give another quick example as we move away from Manziel on it. If you recall, everybody remembers the big story about Vince Young reportedly. Then that story gets a little kind of convoluted because you don't really know what really happened, but maybe scored a 6, went back and took it, and then scored a 16.
Right.
But maybe it was a 16 all along that got portrayed as a 6. I don't know, but I don't think that, and this is what you have to worry about with this stuff, because we're still kind of growing up in this world. We're not quite where we need to be. See, I never thought Vince Young was ever covered properly in regard to how his scouting was reported, because I know very, very smart guys that know football that knew that there were some football IQ issues with Vince Young.
Right.
I don't think those guys were ever comfortable in saying it. Vince was too popular, too polarizing of a personality, he was symbolic of everything that was Texas football at that moment in our history in football in this state and nationally for college football. And I'm sorry, I just don't believe that my white buddies were comfortable coming out saying that Vince Young was a dumb quarterback.
Right.
Because they wouldn't do it. And I've heard them comfortably say it about other white quarterbacks.
Right.
But they didn't want to be the guy that came out and said, okay, I'm just telling you.
Right.
Merrill Hodge did it, and Merrill Hodge was murdered for it. You know what I mean?
Right.
But Merrill Hodge turned out to be right. The guy never did learn to read defenses.
Right.
Had some natural attributes and abilities on the field, but he never had that football IQ for the position at the level he needed to, and didn't work hard enough. Any of these guys that are drafted, if they have any level of questionable football IQ, or if you come into the league and you're the smartest guy in the league coming in out of your class, you're still going to have to put in work to be good at this level of football at the quarterback position.
Right.
I don't care how smart you are, folks. You've got to work hard to achieve excellence at the quarterback position, or even just to be serviceable.
Right.
We're serviceable, and we'll be right back in a minute on HMW Sports Talk Live.